Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to your semi-biweekly reading. So we are looking at we are looking at the period of time from the full moon lunar eclipse to the new moon. So that period of time. So I'm not going to really get into the astrology like I have been getting into them recently, because I just put out the monthly readings, and in that I discuss the lunar eclipse. So highly recommend going and checking that out. It does have timestamps, so you can go skip directly to the part where I'm talking about the astrology. But I just thought, instead of repeating that, in case you just watched it, it's probably just easier, and it'll make these videos nice and short and sweet, how they're meant to be. All right, so Scorpio, looking like we're definitely looking at some letting go. I think it's super appropriate. Like I said, I'm just going to refer to certain things about the astrology so that you can, go and watch the May video, and I'll have that up on the screen towards the end of this video here. So I just think it's super appropriate that we have the eighth house showing up for you. So this is really talking about what themes are up for you during this period of time, right? For the lunar eclipse, for the full moon lunar eclipse, which is in Scorpio, by the way, in tropical astrology, and it's in Libra and sidereal astrology. So in Scorpio, this is for Scorpio, sun sign, rising sign, right? So that already, I feel like that's one piece that's really synchronistic here. And then we have the added layer of the eighth house being the themes that you're dealing with. The eighth house is ruled by Scorpio, and that's another layer that we have going on here. It's also ruled by modern Pluto or traditional Mars. So just a whole lot that's happening that's related to the astrology that makes this feel super on point and appropriate just right from the off, right? So eighth house, we're definitely talking about really deep subjects, right? This is a house of depth. This is definitely a house where, it's said like death, taxes, sex, and the occult are some of the buzzwords that are associated with this particular house, and not to say that there's going to be a death, but we could look at that even symbolically, right? So we're talking about this beginning of this phase from the full moon to the new moon, starting off with that lunar eclipse on the south node in Scorpio, right? And that south node eclipse energy is all about releasing and letting go, right? And so is the period of time from the full moon to the new moon. For every month, we have that period of time that is more about like releasing, completing things, wrapping things up, right? Like that whole period of time we go through that process. And so it's just accentuated here, starting off with the full moon lunar eclipse, right? So yeah, metaphorically, there might be things that need to die away. This is also a place where we can face places in ourselves that feel like they're in the recesses of our psyche or our energetic or emotional space, things that feel intense or hard to look at or face or deal with. Because of the rulerships of Pluto and Mars being here, we could also say that this might have to do with certain things around your personal power, power struggles, where you've given away your power, or where power has been exerted over you, maybe through coercion or manipulation, or the other way around, right? So like dynamics that are around that could be coming up. Certainly, like when we're talking about the occult, we're talking about really the true meaning of the occult, right? Not whatever is like the surface level it's turned into. So we're looking at these deeper mystery schools, the hidden knowledge, the hidden wisdoms. We could say hidden magic too. Like, of course, that's in those realms. So, things that are maybe intense also when it comes to like sex or any of these things. Now, I did mention taxes. So this is also the house of other people's resources. So this could be having to do with like inheritances or dealing with taxes or loans or things of that nature, right? So just want to give you like the full breadth of what the eighth house has to deal with. I think that the picture is not only beautiful, but it's definitely telling about some of the vibe that you get here. I'm not necessarily trying to soften what this house can be about, but I also think that there is a balanced place. Like every house, every sign, every planet has a shadow and light side. And so I do want to say that some of this is just really could be about like depth and transformation that happens inside of facing the things that we fear or that we instinctually want to shy away from and not look at because of the intensity of that, right? And also there is that shadow aspect where it can be really like intense and toxic and painful and fearful, right? So all of these different types of things that are coming up. And if you resonate with your Scorpio rising or your sun sign, then I think you're no stranger to these kinds of vibes anyhow. So it's probably territory that you're accustomed to swimming in, at least, or have been. So you have maybe a leg up on that. And maybe you're just like, I'm tired of that. I don't really want to face that. But this is like what's coming up at this period. So you can be proactive and really look at like, what have I been avoiding looking at? Like, what are the things that I wince about and that I try to turn away from and not really address? Maybe taking the time to face those things, like the things that need to be addressed. This is the thing about like the 8th house, Pluto, like these kinds of energies, South Node, right? I think that what it does is it really brings to light in a very visceral, very real, instinctual way, very primal, very intense kind of way, the things that are needed for us to clear out and look at so that we can free our energy, free ourselves, free our space, and be more in touch with our actual power, with our agency over our world, and to be able to, like, there's something about when we are able to sit with the things that we're afraid of, the kind of personal power that we wield in our own world. And I just think that that can be, well, for lack of another word, very powerful, very empowering, right, is one way to look at that. So the other card that we have here for your spiritual advice is the 6 of Swords, more of this kind of releasing and moving forward. So one of the things that I really like about the 6 of Swords in particular, I know it looks kind of maybe a little bit somber. There is a little bit of grief to it sometimes when we realize that we need to let go of like certain projects or people or things of that nature so that we can move off to new shores, like move off to a new land, a new adventure. Like that's the thing, is like she's traversing the emotional waters to get to this other new land, right? So she's starting over there. And so that might require this feeling of leaving people behind. And I might want to reframe that as maybe we're just allowing them to be where they are. And maybe they are able to catch up with us and move forward and actually meet up with us at some time later down the road on our own adventure. But for now, not allowing people to hold you back from like where you need to go, or projects, or, you know, jobs, or whatever it is, right? I'm not saying make rash decisions. I'm saying like, let's just take a really good look at what needs to be released and let go of. And also, like, the thing about rounding out this eclipse season is it's very much in line with this energy, right? Just noticing what wants to be like released, what wants to go, who wants to go, and just kind of like allowing for that, but also being proactive about how we can be a participant in our world, so that maybe it doesn't feel like that something or someone's being ripped away, right? So I hope that this gives you some clarity. And like with the spiritual advice, the thing I would like to highlight with this particular card, right, is that it know that it looks a little bit somber and sad, but what I'm getting here is your guides are basically saying, hey, you know, guides, angels, whoever universe, right? Like whatever it is that you believe, right? But like the guides that are there for you are basically like, okay, don't be held back. Like do the releasing, do the work of releasing, feel your feelings, like feel them, and keep going. The and part, right? Like, and keep going to the new shores, right? And keep going. So, like I said, I think that this will definitely bring it all together and make a lot more sense and click if you watch. It's just like a short part of the monthly videos where I talk for just a few minutes about the astrology, about a couple things that I wanted to highlight, but I definitely talk about this lunar eclipse. So I'll have that up here on the screen. If this feels like it has been helpful, insightful in any way, please consider giving it a like, or subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you're aware of when these videos come out. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.